Welcome back to Wilderness Medicine Wednesday, everyone. Let's talk about dehydration and, more importantly, hydration, specifically in the outdoors. Let's go. Just talking about this topic makes me thirsty. Okay, everyone, let's talk about dehydration. This is I think, a bigger issue than it needs to be. This is, I think, a bigger issue than most people think it is. I've read online that 75% of the American population is chronically dehydrated. I don't know that that's true. I think that might be a made-up number. But what is not a made-up number is 17 to 28, so let's just call it 25% of the older population of America is chronically dehydrated. Now, that is almost certainly a number taken from older folks in nursing homes and hospitals and things like that. So I don't know that it directly applies to older Americans who are active in the outdoors. I suspect, but really I hope, that those folks are better at staying hydrated. So we're going to talk about signs and symptoms. We're going to talk about treatment. We're going to talk about prevention, which is key. Okay, so here is a big long list of signs and symptoms. There's a million of them, but the problem is a lot of them can be caused by a lot of things. And I want us thinking simply, like, how do I know if this person I'm paddling with is dehydrated, or how do I know if I am dehydrated? And there are some biggies that are really easy to keep track of. Things that you'll see that show up all the time for all sorts of medical maladies in the backcountry are headache, dizziness, lightheadedness, rapid breathing, irritability. All of those things can be caused by a lot of things. Those things can be caused by dehydration, but not necessarily. A lot of things can cause those things. Everything causes people to get nauseous. Everything causes people to throw up. Those are just signs. All of these things, the dizziness, the headache, the lightheadedness, rapid breathing, are all signs of a body under stress, right? So how do we know if what we're dealing with is just simple dehydration? Super easy. Last ins and outs, right? How much water coming in, how much fluid going out, and not just today, but over the last couple days, as well as the color of your patient's or your urine. But I'll tell you a secret right now. If you don't remember the last time you urinated, you're dehydrated. So those are very simple, very straightforward. Okay, so how do we fix this? Super easy. Let's hydrate someone, right? But just like it takes some time to dehydrate yourself, it takes some time to rehydrate yourself. I've also read online, and I forgot to look this one up, so I'm winging it a little bit. You can only absorb about 1 liter of water an hour. I don't know if that's true or not, and I'm sure there's variation person to person, but many sips are better than a couple of gulps. We talk a lot in the wilderness about lunch is the meal that starts right after breakfast and ends just before dinner. Hydration is the same way. You should be sipping on water all day long. This can be hard in a kayak as opposed to a backpack, because if you're wearing a spray skirt, for a lot of people, your water is going to be trapped below that spray skirt. So it makes it less likely to rehydrate, which is why it's important to take breaks and things like that so that you have that opportunity to get to your water and drink some water. Super, 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 super important. Oh, I should also point out, I did a video a while ago, I'll post that up here, about treating water, which is super important and sort of plays into this. How do I stay hydrated? I have a water bottle, which you could stick under the bungees. That's my normal for day trips. And honestly, my normal for day trips, my normal for day trips is a 16-ounce bottle, just because they're little and they're easy and they're small. It should probably be a 1 liter bottle. I think a 1 liter bottle is really a better call. On multi-day trips, I tend to use a reservoir in a deck bag. Not all the time, but sometimes I will use a reservoir for a deck bag. The trip that I'm going on Sunday, I will probably bring a reservoir in a deck bag just to cover the bases. Think about adding a rehydration supplement, but it should not be the only thing you're drinking. I would mix it 50-50 with water, which could be double the water what the mix calls for, or it could be I'm going to drink a liter of water. Then in 2 hours, I'm going to drink a liter of like rehydration. I actually really like Noon. I used to use Scratch Labs, which I loved the taste of. And then I realized it had a lot of sugar in it. So I switched back to Noon, which doesn't taste as good, but I think is doing a better job and has less sugar. And I try to limit sugar just for lots of reasons. But a good one is sugary drinks make it take longer to absorb the water in your drink. Similarly, caffeine, tea, alcohol all have diuretic effects. Doctors disagree on how big that diuretic effect is, but I would say, hey, let's limit the amount of caffeine you're drinking if you're dehydrated to start with. Another thing that is dehydrating is freeze-dried food. Even properly rehydrated, if you're eating freeze-dried food for breakfast and dinner on a multi-day trip, it is continuing to rehydrate after you eat it. But now it's taking the water from you. So multiple days of freeze-dried food can slowly, it is slow, but can slowly sort of ramp up your dehydration, which is not good. So make sure you're hydrating really well if you're living on freeze-dried food. Okay, the last thing I want to add on this is it is possible to have too much water. It's called hyponatremia. You urinate out essential nutrients and vitamins and minerals to the point where your body is unbalanced. Rehydration drinks will fix that problem. They say it's pretty rare, but I managed to give it to myself a couple of years ago paddling in Topsail. Again, I'll put a link to that video up here. So pretty rare, but it is possible, so be aware of it. If people are getting dehydrated in the backcountry, this is a failure of leadership. And it means that someone is not taking that leadership role and opening their mouth and saying, hey, I think we should take a break. Let's all take a drink. When I led trips for REI Outdoor School, which is ironically the bottle I just grabbed, my outdoor school bottle, in the summer in North Carolina, when it was like 102 degrees, we did every 45 minutes, I did mandatory 5 to 7 minute breaks. I would make sure I was seeing everyone drink. And then we would do a longer break where I would give them like what we called surprise and delight, a frozen Gatorade so that they're getting Gatorade into their system. And on really bad days, I would pass around a jar of pickles because cold pickles are amazing. And the salt that's in the brine is really good for you in that sort of situation. So don't have a failure of leadership. If someone on a trip with you is getting dehydrated, make sure that the people on that trip are staying hydrated or you're rehydrating. Okay, that is Wilderness Medicine Wednesday for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
And it's shot.